Hello introverts, and welcome back to the Introverts Haven. My name is Megan and welcome back to my library. This is my March reading wrap up, and I'll be honest, I did not hit my reading goals this month. I began 5 books and I finished 3. Yeah, I did not do so fabulous on those goals this month. But that's okay. I'm going to be kind to myself. Some months are just not going to be your best months. So even though I did not finish all of them, I am going to tell you about the books that I am reading. I just am not going to give them any kind of star rating because I feel like you kind of can't do that until you finish the book. But regardless, I will tell you all about them. Okay, so the first book that I read this month was Ward D by Freida McFadden. Now, I am a Freida McFadden obsessed fan. I have read, I don't even know how many of her books. I'm gonna guess like 8 or so. And the woman never misses. Like every single book I have picked up by her has been decent. I will say this is probably my least favorite of all of them that I've read, but I'd still read it again. Like it was still decently done. This book is following a medical student who is sent to a clinical where, I don't know if clinical is the right word. It is for nursing, but I don't know about doctors. Rotation? She's basically sent to a psychiatric ward for the night. When she gets there, she has a lot of feelings about it because she has battled with her own mental health issues. And when she gets there, she sees somebody that she was not expecting to see. And the night takes a very deadly turn, as it usually does in any Freida McFadden book. I think the reason that I had not the best rating for this book is because some of it was just so unbelievable. And I don't know if it's because I work in medicine, so I know that like some of the events just would not play out the way that they did. For example, like locking people in a room and nobody going in for the entire night and leaving them be wouldn't happen. Not doing checks on all of your residents who you have concerns about their safety also would not happen. So as I was reading it, there was just that little voice in the back of my head where I'm like, this is not believable. This would not happen. And I know it's like I'm looking too far into it and the point is just go and enjoy the story. But I literally could not look past it. Like it was one of those things where it's like, no, nope. And I just couldn't. And I think that's what impacted the star rating. Overall, like I said, I'd still read it again, but the twist was great, as they always are in every Freida McFadden book that you read. I'd say it's worth the read. It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. This is the second book in the duology of It Ends With Us. And I'll be honest, I really enjoyed the first one. I rated it 4 stars, I think. I know it has its issues with the writing and whatnot, and there's tons of people who will point those out. But after watching the movie, I decided that I wanted to read the second book in the duology, and so I picked this one up, and it was okay. It was a 3-star. This is following, obviously, what happens after the events of What Ends With Us, and it's hard for me to really get into too much of a description because it'll ruin It Ends With Us for those who want to read it. But just know it's a continuation of what happens afterwards, as most duologies are, kind of straight to the point. But it was just okay. The writing was okay. The story was all right. But do I think that I would have been fine if I hadn't read this one? Yeah, I would have been fine. If you really, really go hard for the story, you can give it a go, but it's not going to hurt you to not pick this one up. Okay, the next book that I read was The Weight of Beautiful by Aggie Goldschneider, and she is one of the housewives on The Real Housewives of New Jersey. I have never watched The Real Housewives of New Jersey, but I was interested because this is following Jackie, and she has an eating disorder, and she just kind of walks us through that journey of how she struggled with weight her whole life and was actually overweight at one point for a good part of her life. And I really liked kind of her going into her family background as well about why food was viewed the way that it was growing up and why it was pushed the way that it was growing up. And I thought it was a really well done memoir. It's really short. It's easy to get through. I really, really enjoyed it, and I highly recommend it. I rated this book 4 stars. If you grew up during the time of the early 2000s or mid 2000s, diet culture, this really tackles it in depth, and it shows the progression of how bad things can really get and how unhealthy it really was during that time. Just the commentary on people's bodies during that time was so unhinged, and I was no exception. Like growing up, I feel like I've always struggled with my weight. A lot of this hit really close to home, although I've never personally had an eating disorder. But I think anybody who remembers those times of that diet culture and that really toxic body speak and expectations, and I think will relate to it on some level. And I'm just so glad that now people are more likely to call out those kinds of talks. Don't mind my dog, he's just coming in. Hi, Jaxie. Hi, do you want to talk about books? Yes, he does. Definitely recommend this one. Next up, I am in the middle, and by in the middle, I mean I'm almost done. But again, I don't like to give ratings until I finish the book, and I have just a little bit more to go. Could I have waited to make this video a few more days and finish this? Probably, but today was just my most convenient time to film. So here we are. So this is Such a Lovely Family by Aggie Blum Thompson. And so far I am thoroughly enjoying this book. It has a lot of spring vibes. And now I know what you're gonna say. Megan, you hate spring. Yes, I absolutely do. But what I do try to do every year is lean into the nice parts of spring and romanticize what I can, because otherwise it's gonna suck me down below. And so I think in every hard situation that you're in, you just have to look at the positives of every single moment. So for me, that means that I love that the days get longer and there's more sun. I love that the temperature starts to go up. And I love some of the quintessential spring things like cottagecore, Regency romances, or like this one, a garden party where somebody is murdered. So this is following the Calhoun family, and they are the family that everybody wants to be. They have the perfect couple who've been together for years, who have these kids that are grown up, and they're all doing so fabulously. One of them works in social media. Another one is in marine biology and has just gotten a grant to go study some sea wildlife. And the last one went down a bad road for a few years, but seems like he's kind of starting to get out of that now. And they are just the quintessential family who live in this very ritzy town and host this beautiful garden party every year. And this year, somebody ends up dead at this party. And this family has a lot of skeletons in their closet and a lot of things going on behind closed doors. Every single person is a suspect, and I do not know yet. I do know who died. I do not know why. I am going to keep reading this one for sure. I'm predicting that it will probably be a 4-star read. I've really, really enjoyed it thus far, and I highly recommend it if you are somebody who loves spring reading to get into that garden party, rich people drama. I am obsessed with rich people drama. I don't know what it is. It is just like the level of petty that these people have in these books is just, and probably real life, let's be honest, is so interesting to me, and I absolutely love it. So highly recommend this one. Again, I have just a little bit more to go, but so far, absolutely loving it. And look at this cover. Look at the bright pink, happy. Oh, I'm obsessed. The last book that I started in March is Half a Soul by Olivia. Hello. You guys, look at this sweet boy. Yes, look at this sweet boy. Do you want to say hello? Yes, he does. He does. He wants to talk about books too. Same. So, get the right way here. Have a Soul by Olivia Atwater. This is following a character named Dora, and she has been cursed by a fairy a few years ago when she was younger. And unfortunately, he took half her soul. And as a result of this, she consistently finds herself in scandalous situations because she doesn't have any sense of embarrassment or fear, and she tends to do and say the wrong things and gets herself not the best looks from society. Everybody's pretty annoyed with her. Her cousin insists that she be invited to go with her for the London season. Her cousin is this beautiful, wonderful woman that everybody absolutely adores, and they have no doubt that they're going to be able to get her a husband during the season. But she really wants Dora to go with her. And so Dora decides she's going to go, but she just intends on being a wallflower because she has no hope of not being a spinster. And honestly, her family has treated her the same way. Like, she's just kind of the tag along that nobody wants around, but they can't quite get rid of because her cousin really, really loves her. But when she's there, she ends up meeting this lord, and he is not well liked in society either. He is not exactly well-mannered. He's got a wicked attitude, and they end up clicking. And she ends up falling for him, even though she was always told that she would never be able to fall for him. That falling in love with only half of a soul would be something that would be impossible for her. But they form this connection, and she decides that she's going to try to figure it out and see if they can't yet break this curse in order for her to have just a normal, regular life and get her soul back. I am very early on in this book, so I can't really give any form of rating either, or even a prediction because I am so early on. I almost didn't bring this book up, but I did begin it in March, and I don't really know whether it's appropriate to talk about books only after you finish them or in the month that you actually began them. I've always been somebody who, I started it in this month, I count it as my March reading, but I can see both arguments for whether or not it actually counts as this month of April's book or whether it's last month's. All right, those were all of the books that I either finished or began in the month of March. Not my best reading month, unfortunately, but I'm really, really hoping that this month I get a ton of reading done. I'm going to be focusing really, really hard on it this month, and hopefully we'll have much more to report. I also have a huge stack of books, so a book haul is also going to be coming in the works shortly, and I can't wait to talk to you about all of them. And I really need to get to some of these books because holy Lord, I am so excited about them, but oh, I have a lot to talk about. If you've stuck around to this point, thank you so much. I really, really, really appreciate it, and have a great rest of your day, and happy reading.